How's it going, guys? I'm here to review Saw 2, 2005.
Help me.
I want to play a game.
Obviously, Saw 2 is a direct sequel to Saw 2004, and this movie stars Donnie Wahlberg. The film begins with a bunch of new characters, actually. The characters like Adam and Dr. Gordon from the first movie, they actually don't return back. Wink, wink. But at least not in this movie. Yeah, like I said, you're introduced to a bunch of new characters. Donnie Wahlberg, he plays a cop or a detective, and he is pretty much following the same footsteps as Detective Tapp. He's trying to uncover the murders and the mystery of the Jigsaw killer. But of course, his juvenile son gets kidnapped by Jigsaw and a bunch of other inmates that Donnie locked up before. So what I mean by that is, so the cop's name is Eric Matthews, and Eric Matthews before, he's a cop, so he arrested all these criminals, these juveniles, these inmates, these junkies, all of them before. So he knows each of the character in this movie. He knows their files. But what he didn't know that his juvenile son was going to be kidnapped by Jigsaw, and Jigsaw was going to kidnap the same inmates or the people he imprisoned. So pretty much his son is trapped with these people that hate the son's dad, but they don't know that the son's actually the son of the cop, if that makes sense. So this is a dangerous game here.
Greetings and welcome. Right now, you are breathing in a deadly nerve agent. The only way out is to find an antidote. One is inside the safe. You all possess the combination in the back of your...
Meanwhile, you'll cut back to his son, Daniel Matthews. He is trapped with a bunch of other inmates and, of course, a returning character from the first movies, Amanda. Amanda is one of the survivors from Jigsaw's traps from the first film. So they're not in a trap, not all of them are in a trap, but they're stuck in an abandoned house, which, of course, each room has traps. Each room has a trap. They have to follow the rules. They have to play the game. They have to survive, because the reason why, because in the house, they're breathing through a toxin air where it's making their veins, basically they're breathing poison air. And of course, if they don't get the antidote in time with the keys, they're going to die. So that's why one of the characters, their nose starts to bleed. They starts to cough out blood most of the time. So they're breathing like toxin air. So that's their whole goal, is to get each antidote. There's like separate antidotes. Eric Matthews finally meets the Jigsaw killer, which is played by Tobin Bell. I forgot to mention, if you guys haven't seen the first Saw movie, then spoiler alert, the twist ending was the killer was not the killer that you thought. Like, they didn't show the killer in the original movie, but they did finally show who the true mastermind of what was going on in the first movie, which was Jigsaw, which is played by Tobin Bell. John Kramer, that's his actual name, John Kramer. And John Kramer was in the bathroom. He was one of the supposed dead bodies with Adam and Dr. Gordon. So he was playing along the game this whole time that he was dead in the bathroom. So Tobin Bell, Jigsaw, John Kramer is getting interviewed, or not interviewed, but interrogated by Eric Matthews. And Jigsaw's telling him his life story of why the stuff why he's doing the stuff he does, pretty much. And of course, as time is ticking, Eric Matthews gets impatient and pretty much beats the shit out of Jigsaw, demanding him where's his son is and stop playing games. And of course, after that, then you have another twist ending, because each Saw movie always have a twist ending. And I'm not going to spoil it this time. If you guys haven't seen this movie or any other Saw movie, then why are you watching my reviews?
Let the game begin.
Let's just take our time.
This whole house is a
What?
trap.
Shut the hell up!
So the point is, I enjoyed this sequel very much. This movie is directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, and I must say he's a pretty cool filmmaker. I know he directed Saw 2, Saw 3, Saw 4, and then now he's gonna he directed Repo, the Genetic Opera. It's a musical horror thriller if you guys haven't seen it. And of course, he's going to direct Saw 9, which is Spiral, with Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. Can't wait for that. Fucking Corona had to ruin it, though. Said this movie is very good. It's a very well-made sequel. The characters is good. The suspense is great. The traps is great. The gore is great. Like the writing in this movie is great. The music, the score, everything is just great. But the only problem I had with this movie is it's great and all. Everything is good. It's like a well-made sequel. Don't get me wrong. The only problem, it's a slight problem I have with this movie is it doesn't focus too much on the mystery, the scares, the suspense of it that much. This movie heavily relies on, of course, characters that are just murdering each other or just gore or traps. You can tell as each movie goes by that it just focuses more on the torture porn pretty much. That's what I liked about the first movie, because it wasn't all about that. It was more about the actual story, about the actual crime, the suspense, the mystery behind it. That's what this film was kind of lacking. But other than that, it's still a pretty well-made sequel. I would rate this movie an 8 out of 10. Yes, it's still a good sequel. It's just not as good as the first one because of that slight flaw I told you guys about. But other than that, it's still a pretty damn good sequel. The first one I rated was 9 out of 10. So yeah, I think it deserves an 8 out of 10. It's a pretty good follow-up. So that was my quick review of Saw 2, 2005. Please leave a comment, leave a like, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next Saw movie.
Run!
Live or die, make your choice.
There's something that we're not seeing. You did this.
Open the door! There's nowhere to go! Where is he?
Oh, yes. There will be blood.